It's time now for County-Wide, a special presentation of Yavapai Broadcasting News. Join Paul David and Brad Miller as they talk with our community's leaders, newsmakers, and people in the know. You'll hear about the hot topics that affect all our lives here in Yavapai County. And now, here's today's County-Wide.
Well, good day to you and welcome to the program. It is County-Wide. Brad Miller with you, and we're happy to welcome into studio today. Rusty Anderson is joining us, coming up from the Phoenix Valley today. Rusty is with the State Bar of Arizona, and specifically, Rusty is Assistant Ethics Counsel. You talk to attorneys and folks like that about ethics, legal ethics for practicing attorneys.
Yes, I do.
We say hello to you and good morning, I guess, first of all. Okay, let's insert the lawyer jokes right now. Those kinds of things. We've all got those, and I'm sure you've probably got it all out there.
And I have my favorites, but probably shouldn't say too many of them on the air.
Probably not. We've all heard that, and so there's that, and we'll throw that kind of to the side. But when we talk about ethics, that's really what it is about, it seems to me, in the legal profession, how to parse what's happening. And let's maybe, just for our sake of the program today, maybe we can kind of talk about, say, criminal law. Can we limit it to that? Or I'll let you take it wherever you need to.
Sure.
But when we talk about that, if there's, say, some kind of a criminal thing, and gosh, our part, there's the joke. Make the joke about the media people. And, you know, we've had the Zimmerman case came just not terribly long ago, folks. That'll be fresh in people's memories. But we get these kind of celebrity kinds of things like that. And I think it gives people maybe really kind of a false sense of what it's really like and how most attorneys operate. Mm-hmm. And that's the tried and true and the professional and the honest way. And it seems to me that's kind of what you're about in what you do with the State Bar. Is that right?
Yeah, it is. And a lot of what I do, you know, the State Bar itself is kind of a weird organization that not too many people are really familiar with. We are a private nonprofit organization that are not a state agency or run by any tax funds like that. We run off of the dues that are paid by our members, which are the lawyers throughout the state. Currently, we have 22,000 members roughly, and 17,000 of them are active. But we have this, as an entity, we have this like dual role, because we have kind of, and it's kind of an odd duck, especially when it comes to a lot of professional oversight with other types of professions that are out there. You know, on one hand, we have kind of like a boxing glove where we're doing discipline work against lawyers that mess up.
Right.
And on the other hand, we've got kind of like a plate of hors d'oeuvres that we're serving to our members to try to help them enhance their ability to provide services to people and be better lawyers. And so it's a interesting dynamic within the organization itself. And what I do on the kind of on the hors d'oeuvre side, for lack of a better term, is whenever lawyers have questions about certain situations that they're facing, they call me basically, and I try to give them answers based on our rules of professional conduct.
The State Bar is the licensing agency for attorneys in our state. Is that right?
Well, actually,
see, that's what I would.
Yeah. The State Bar kind of is like the oversight and watches the people who are getting licensed, but actually the licensing agency is the Supreme Court itself. They issue the license. There's a branch where, you know, lawyers have to go through. It's called character and fitness, and they make sure that you're an okay person and are moral and all that kind of good stuff. And they have a role to play within it. But really, what the State Bar's job is, once you get licensed, is to make sure that a lawyer is doing what they're supposed to, as far as what's expected of lawyers.
And it seems like that can get awfully tricky in that anytime an attorney wins for whoever he or she is representing, in whatever case, civil case, criminal case, the other side is going to feel, well, we got beat. And it just seems to me that there can be a lot of accusations of impropriety, the old poor sport thing, if you could. Is that what you do, is kind of parse, well, here's a legitimate beef, and here's something that maybe just came out of a tough case?
That happens every now and again, and that is where our discipline side kind of comes into play, the hand with the boxing glove. There is a system that is in place that handles bar complaints and just general inquiries that come into the State Bar.
Sure.
From anybody can file or call in, and you don't even have to be you don't have to be a client. You can be opposing counsel. You can just be someone standing on the street corner witnessing an attorney do something and call in with a question if you wanted to. But there's a system in place, and it's primarily by phone now that they call up our intake division, and their information is taken, and then at that point it's kind of handed over to internal bar staff, a lawyer there, bar counsel, who kind of reviews it, and they call folks up and try to determine, is this a legitimate complaint, or is this something that maybe there isn't really much there to it?
You said street corner. There could be so a citizen could make a complaint about some just loud behavior in a restaurant, or these have
Absolutely.
to be litigants. Oh, is that right?
Yeah,
well,
absolutely.
See, I didn't get that at all.
There is no restriction whatsoever as to who could bring up issues. Yep. And that's part of and it's almost necessary in a profession that is self-regulated like the State Bar is and lawyers are, because the State Bar only knows of what's going on within the legal community from what it's told, whether it's from other lawyers or it's from the public in general.
Gosh, here again, it just seems like that. Hats off. I don't know how many other professions have such a setup. I suppose maybe many do, and I just don't know about it. I was not aware of that at all, even as Ryan Nichols and I kind of chatted about this. I assumed it was litigants, people who were in some kind of way or another in a courtroom setting or in a legal involvement with the attorney. I didn't know it extended just to, the day-to-day
And in fact, as part of our rules of professional conduct, there's a specific rule that tells lawyers in order to keep the system, the integrity of the system in place, that they can't even, like if they were, for example, if a lawyer was in a malpractice case against a former client, or just in a regular settlement, like in a civil issue, they can't they can't have somebody else waive their right to report conduct to the State Bar at all.
You mentioned reporting this, and these come in. There's a hotline.
Yeah,
there's a number to call for these kinds of things.
Yes, there is. The State Bar has an intake division. It's called the Attorney Consumer Assistance Program, and that is the primary number to call. And I believe the number itself is on the website. That we've got so many different numbers that I did.
Okay, I won't hold you to that yet. Let me say this for our audience: azbar.org, a good place to go, and certainly from there you can find those hotlines and get that. I don't want to say the incorrect one, but so azbar.org online to kind of find your way through that. Can we do this? Let's do this. Let's take a break. When we come back, I'm going to ask you we'll kind of create just a very short fictitious case. I'll be a litigant dissatisfied with my representation, and I call you or the hotline, or one way or another I lodge a complaint and have you walk me through what would happen.
Sure.
Can we do that?
Absolutely.
All right, we'll take a short break. Rusty Anderson is here. Rusty is Assistant Ethics Counsel for the State Bar of Arizona. We'll break. We'll be back right after this.
Having a fire escape plan is very important to keep your family safe and together in the event of a fire. When you awake to the sound of a smoke detector and smoke in your room, don't stand straight up. Carefully roll off your bed and stay low under the smoke. If your door is shut, feel the door with the back of your hand. Slowly open the door if no heat is felt. Always stay low until you get to the outside of your home. Always have two ways out of your house and a specified meeting place somewhere outside your home. Home escape plans should be drawn up and rehearsed on a regular basis. This could be the difference between life and death if caught in a fire.
Here in northern Arizona and throughout Yavapai County, people count on Orkin Pest Control. With over 100 years of combined experience, nobody knows how to protect your home or your business from harmful or annoying pests like the Orkin Man. To start service, contact your Northern Arizona Orkin Pest Control. In the Verde Valley, call 567-5100 or Orkin Pest Control in the Prescott area at 775-8772.
Move over, AZ. Arizona's move over law requires you to move over or slow down when you drive past any vehicle pulled over with flashing lights. Any vehicle means emergency responders, roadside assistance, law enforcement, highway crews, even stranded motorists. Ignore the law and you could pay a fine. Remember, every vehicle, every time. Move over, AZ.
Sponsored by ADOT in partnership with the Arizona Broadcasters Association and this station. Body language can tell you all sorts of things. Like someone is having a stroke. Know the sudden signs. Learn fast. Face drooping, arm weakness, speech difficulty. Time to call 911 and get them to a hospital immediately. Learn the body language and spot a stroke fast.
I was surprised. Welcome back to the program. Again, it's Countywide, and our guest today, Rusty Anderson. Rusty is Assistant Ethics Counsel, talking about kind of how the State Bar of Arizona polices itself, polices its own. I kind of set up before the break a scenario. Say I was in court, my tree fell on the neighbor's car and smashed it, and I got sued. And I didn't like the outcome because I felt my attorney didn't do something he should have, or did do something she shouldn't have, or whatever the case. I decided to pick up the phone, call the number, and from there, what happens?
Well, when you call the number, and I was lucky I found that number over the break, it's 602-340-7280, and that's our Attorney Consumer Assistance Program. So that number, what happens is that an individual person at the State Bar picks up the phone and would take your information about what you were unsatisfied with and what happened and who the attorney's name is and all that kind of good stuff. And they would pass all that information on to a bar counsel who's a lawyer that works for the State Bar and handles these cases day in and day out. And that lawyer then would basically pick up the phone and call the attorney that you filed the complaint about,
right.
And then they call you too, and they engage in this kind of early investigation where they just try to feel out what's going on and get both sides of the story. And then at that point, if they decided that there's enough there to substantiate a full formal investigation, then they would pass it off to the lawyer regulation department.
Okay.
And so at that point, it gets assigned to new bar counsel, who does a formal investigation which details the specific ethics rules that they're looking into. And then from there, it could go into a full formal discipline case. It could be dismissed. It just depends on the facts and what they find in the investigation. It
seems like, and maybe I just have a bad outlook on human nature, but it seems like, a lot of times civil or criminal things get settled, ahead of time before we go to trial. It seems like once something does go to trial, that whoever comes out on the losing side, if you will, is going to be, kind of unhappy. And it seems like, I guess here again, it does depend on the person. Lashing out at counsel is it common? Do you see a lot of that? Well,
it happens more. The people that call the intake division the most are actually clients of lawyers, and actually their number one complaint about lawyers is that the lawyer's not talking to me. They're not communicating well. Okay. And so on my side of things, when I'm reaching out to lawyers to teach them about things, how to improve their practice and how to make sure that they're providing all the services they need to their clients and to the general public, that's one of the big things we always hammer on is, talk to your clients, call them, be open with them about what's going on. And so that's really the primary area. And over last year, the Attorney Consumer Assistance Program answered about 3,000 different calls. It took in 3,000 different complaints, and that's statewide, which ended up resulting in about, I think there was 600 formal investigations that resulted out of that. So there is quite a bit that gets pared down in the system.
Gotcha. Yeah. Is it common for, say, another attorney to call with a complaint about an opposing counsel or whatever, and or a judge, and or anybody else that kind of is professionally, say, in the courtroom and sees something or has an understanding about some kind of impropriety?
Absolutely. And as ethics counsel on the ethics hotline, so when a lawyer has a question, they call me up on the ethics hotline. That's one of the number one issues that I get. A question is whether or not that lawyer has a duty to report another lawyer to the State Bar, because there's a specific rule of ethics that says, if this happens and this happens, then you have a duty to report that, because it's really that bad that somebody needs to notify.
I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, no.
I was just going to say, it seems like when you get that kind of a call from someone else in the profession, it's going to the flag's going to go up on the flagpole a little bit higher than maybe from a citizen or someone who feels they've just been done wrong. I mean, I know you'll look at them all,
yeah,
but it seems like someone on the inside will have a little better understanding of this was a clear violation.
Well, as far as the information that's probably communicated to the state bar, it's probably in more lawyer-esque speak than legalese and all that garbage that nobody likes to read or listen to. So they can communicate probably in terms of the technical, language of the rules because they've reviewed it and all this other stuff. But the essence of it is usually about the same as what a non-lawyer would report.
Right.
And so, the bar. When they're investigating these, they provide equal attention to everything that comes through. So there's not, even if it may be a little bit easier to understand, it doesn't get scrutinized any less or anything like that. So.
I liked your analogy at the beginning of the show that there's kind of an hors d'oeuvre tray and there's kind of a boxing glove. And I feel I'm spending a little more time on the boxing glove, but that's the good showbiz part of it. That's the excitement. It seems like the worst outcome after some kind of a complaint followed by an investigation for a practicing attorney would be disbarment.
Yes.
For many, many reasons. It seems like that's going to be kind of, to me, most often, if that happens, there's going to have been a process and maybe repeated kinds of, I don't know if offenses is the right word, but improprieties, say. Is
kind
that
of like
more common?
Three strikes, you're out type of thing?
Well, yeah, how does it work? Is that how it works?
It depends. Sometimes, if a lawyer is doing something really, really bad, it only takes one time to get him disbarred. So a lawyer goes out and kills somebody. They're not going to, things like that.
Okay.
But the process that is in place for lawyers, I mean, due process, it's a constitutional concept that applies in lawyer discipline proceedings. And so the way it looks from the outside is almost like a criminal trial. You've got the state bar acting as prosecutor on one side and the lawyer and probably his defense attorney on one side, and there's a judge and two other members sitting on a three-person panel that's overhearing all of this in a courtroom setting that comes to a decision. And sometimes if you've got a lawyer that makes a series of mistakes that shows kind of a pattern over time, that can lead up to disbarment as they get progressively worse or something along those lines, or if it shows that the repeat conduct and they're not learning their lesson, that type of thing.
Right.
But like I said, sometimes it can be something really bad, like maybe the lawyer's engaging in fraud or stealing from his client and stuff like that. And we see something like that, and it's that by itself, with no other history, can
much more
warrant
egregious.
disbarment.
Sure.
Yeah.
There was a case. There was an attorney in our general area who was disbarred, and I looked into it just out of curiosity. We didn't do a news story on it or anything like that. And what I found was just kind of. It seemed like a pattern of just kind of negligence, just not serving the client very well. Nothing kind of wrong, or certainly nothing illegal to my understanding, which isn't much, but just not being a very good lawyer. It seemed to me. Can that happen too?
Absolutely. And if a lawyer is disciplined for some conduct,
that was the case.
There's another kind of set of rules that the bar looks at to kind of determine, all right, where in that scale does this fit? Was it negligent, or did they know what they were doing, or was it intentional? What exactly happened in that conduct? And so based on that, I mean, if you have a lawyer, for example, who was negligent in something that kind of over time and repeatedly, and shows a pattern that, like, they just weren't really. Maybe they're not talking to their clients all the time, or maybe they get distracted and they're missing deadlines on their cases all the time and messing up their clients' cases.
Sure.
They do that systematically over a long period of time. That can hurt a lot of people, and the bar takes that very seriously. And so, yes, something like that could lead to a disbarment eventually.
All right, great. We need to take another short break already. Another pause in our program. We'll be back with Rusty Anderson. Rusty is Assistant Ethics Counsel, the Arizona State Bar. We'll be back right after this.
Having a fire escape plan is very important to keep your family safe and together in the event of a fire. When you awake to the sound of a smoke detector and smoke in your room, don't stand straight up. Carefully roll off your bed and stay low under the smoke. If your door is shut, feel the door with the back of your hand. Slowly open the door if no heat is felt. Always stay low until you get to the outside of your home. Always have two ways out of your house and a specified meeting place somewhere outside your home. Home escape plans should be drawn up and rehearsed on a regular basis. This could be the difference between life and death if caught in a fire.
Here in northern Arizona and throughout Yavapai County, people count on Orkin Pest Control. With over 100 years of combined experience, nobody knows how to protect your home or your business from harmful or annoying pests like the Orkin Man. To start service, contact your Northern Arizona Orkin Pest Control. In the Verde Valley, call 567-5100 or Orkin Pest Control in the Prescott area at 775-8772.
Move over, AZ. Arizona's move over law requires you to move over or slow down when you drive past any vehicle pulled over with flashing lights. Any vehicle means emergency responders, roadside assistance, law enforcement, highway crews, even stranded motorists. Ignore the law and you could pay a fine. Remember, every vehicle, every time. Move over, AZ.
Sponsored by ADA in partnership with the Arizona Broadcasters Association and this station.
Body language can tell you all sorts of things. Like someone is having a stroke. Know the sudden signs. Learn fast. Face drooping, arm weakness, speech difficulty. Time to call 911 and get them to a hospital immediately. Learn the body language and spot a stroke fast.
Welcome back to the program. Again, it's Countywide, and Rusty Anderson, our guest today. Assistant Ethics Counsel, the Arizona State Bar. What is the most common kind of misperception that maybe the public has about attorneys and ethics? And, again, we go back to that joke.
Well, probably that they don't have any ethics. I think that would be the biggest misconception. Yeah. And that's a lot what I deal with. And I can say definitively that, lawyers do have ethics. And a lot of people become lawyers because they want to really help somebody. Mm-hmm. And that's what I see in my job. Like I said before, when lawyers have questions about what to do in a given situation, they call me. And most of the time, they already kind of have an idea of what they want to do. They're looking for confirmation or making sure they're thinking things the right way. Right. Or they have concerns, like, for example, I've had lawyers talk to me on a personal, on a human kind of level. My client's threatening to commit suicide. Mm-hmm. What do I do? How can I help them? Yeah. And how do I balance that against my duty to keep my client's information secret? And what do I do in that situation? And so they're really looking to help people and to try to do the right thing. And for the most part, they really do that. It's kind of that a few bad apples ruin the bunch type of problem where there are some out there that kind of hurt the integrity a little bit.
And those are the ones we hear about.
Right, and that's the
headline
downside.
Makers are the bad apples. Yeah. Do you watch law shows on TV and movies and just cringe?
Gosh. That's why I don't try to watch them much anymore. I'm like, ugh.
you must just say, oh, holy Pete, that's just not even in the plane. Well, but and here again, and I apologize if we spent too much time on the boxing glove of what you do. Again, that analogy you used. But it seems like when the hors d'oeuvre tray is out there enough, the boxing glove isn't needed as much.
And that's the whole idea of having that hors d'oeuvre tray. And that's the kind of the two-prong approach to really helping protect the public is if we can teach lawyers how to do their job better, then we can protect the public better and have to avoid the whole other discipline side of the bar.
It stands to reason. Rusty, thank you. It's been an education. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you for having me. It's
good
been a
talking
pleasure to be here.
Yeah, very good. Interesting stuff. You can find out more if you have a complaint about some representation perhaps that you had, or if you have questions about ethics amongst attorneys in our state. azbar.org. It's the website for the Arizona State Bar. Our guest today, Rusty Anderson. We thank you for joining us. It's Countywide, and we'll see you next time.
This has been Countywide, a special presentation of Yavapai Broadcasting News. Listen in each Tuesday and Thursday as we tackle the hot topics and talk to the decision makers across Yavapai County. That's Countywide with Brad Miller and Paul David each Tuesday and Thursday on this Yavapai Broadcasting station.